What is up, everyone? It's Quinn here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going through the top waiver wire targets heading into week 15 of the NFL season. If you guys are watching this, I'm assuming you have made the fantasy football playoffs, so congratulations. Hopefully this video can help you guys go out, kind of shore up your roster before that playoff run. Maybe these guys can help you add like a flex play, if you're dealing with injuries, someone that could slot into your lineup, or guys that could have some potential upside with a future injury. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe. I will say these are going to be players that are rostered in 40% or fewer leagues using the ESPN waiver wire. And let's just dive right into some of the targets. I think this is a really interesting week here because pretty much the entire season, especially at the running back position, the entire season, a lot of these workhorses have been extremely healthy, like way more healthy than normal. This week, we started to have some injuries. A guy like Zach Charbonnet stepping up, Guerendo stepping up. You've got the Jets running backs. So I think things are starting to break open. We have some more potential injuries here at the running back position. Guys potentially taking over backfields who weren't, previously the starter. So definitely an interesting time. We're going to start off here with Tank Bigsby, who is rostered in 35.7% of leagues. He's someone who looked like he had some juice early on in the season. Then when Travis Etienne kind of got healthy, they were in a lot of trailing game scripts. Etienne kind of took over as the running back one, not giving you great production, but Tank Bigsby was kind of getting phased out of games. In week 14, we had Tank Bigsby take 20 total opportunities, 18 carries, 2 targets, to Travis Etienne's 4 carries and 4 targets. Obviously, Tank is going to be better in like winning or competitive game scripts, but you look at the next 3 matchups here for the Jaguars. This is not a good team. This is not a good offense, but they're playing the Jets, who actually did look decent in week 14, but have obviously looked kind of suspect. And then you have the Raiders and Titans. So those are like some decent potential matchups here for Tank Bigsby, who looks like he might just be the straight up number one there with the Jaguars. Another guy who could be the number one on a bad offense, we have Sincere McCormick, who is rostered in 11.2% of leagues. And we've kind of had like this carousel with the Raiders running backs. We're coming into the year, it was like, all right, Zamir White, does he have like this workhorse upside? Zamir White's been terrible. Then it was Alexander Mattison. Then both those guys got hurt, and it was Amir Abdullah stepping up. And then out of nowhere, we have Sincere McCormick, who, pretty much logged workhorse usage in week 14. 15 carries, 2 targets. He took 17 of the 20 total running back opportunities and was efficient with those opportunities, like 5.2 yards per carry on not a good offense. Pretty impressive for someone who's just kind of come out of nowhere here. I think the question, though, is he going to be able to maintain this role once you get Madison and Zamir White back? And there's no guarantee that he can, but they've thrown him in there. He's had some success. Like, are you going to just start force-feeding Zamir White or Alexander Mattison again? I'm not sure. But even if there's some uncertainty, he's someone who should definitely be rostered in way over 11% of leagues. Because at this point in the season, heading into the fantasy playoffs, if you can just pick up a straight-up starting running back, that's definitely something you should look to do. These next couple of guys are players who may be elevated due to injuries. We're going to go with Sean Tucker here, who is rostered in 1.5% of leagues. Bucky Irving had been balling out over the last couple of weeks. He came into week 14 questionable with back and hip injuries, ends up leaving very early on, re-aggravating or just, precautionary with his back injury. And Sean Tucker, when he's gotten legit run games, he has made the most of his opportunities. In this week 14 game, only had 3 carries, but turned it into 47 yards. We all remember week 6 where it was Rachaad White who missed time. We were expecting a Bucky Irving workhorse game, and Sean Tucker went 14 for 136, 3 for 56, and a touchdown through the air. So when he got to be in a legit split, pretty much slide into that Rachaad White role, he played super well. If Bucky Irving is missing time with his back injury, like I said, there's no guarantee, might have been a precautionary thing, but if Bucky Irving is missing time, I do think Sean Tucker is kind of interesting in that higher end RB3 territory. And like I said, another guy potentially getting elevated with injuries. We have Patrick Taylor, who was rostered in 4.1% of leagues. And we saw Isaac Guerendo leave early with a foot injury in week 14. If Guerendo is somehow missing time here, that would be the top 4 running backs down for the Niners, which is just crazy. But Patrick Taylor's the guy who was operating as the running back 2 behind Guerendo. After the game, doesn't seem like it's super serious. I think Guerendo said, it's precautionary, he'll be fine. So If that's true, then obviously Taylor, wouldn't really pan out, but we never know how these things could go. It could look worse tomorrow. It could feel worse tomorrow. So definitely someone to keep your eye on here. And then another running back who had pretty nice usage in week 14, we have Isaiah Davis, who is rostered in 3.4% of leagues. Breece Hall obviously missed with a knee injury. And I think a lot of people thought this was going to be like a straight up, just Braylon Allen workhorse game. He'd been the running back 2 earlier on in the season. We hadn't seen a ton out of Isaiah Davis, I guess, except for like week 13. But this was like pretty much dead even 50-50. Braylon Allen played one more snap. He ran 2 more routes. Both guys had 16 opportunities. Isaiah Davis had 9 carries, 7 targets. Braylon Allen had 11 carries, 5 targets. And then Isaiah Davis played a lot of the third downs, 8 out of 9 of them. And then he also took the 1 goal line snap. And both guys, were pretty similarly productive with their opportunities. So I don't think this is a situation where if Breece continues to miss, like Braylon Allen is all of a sudden going to be the workhorse. They're probably going to be running close to a 50-50 split here. And at this point in the season, like, why would you bring Breece Hall back? It just doesn't make sense to me here, right? If he's even somewhat at risk of like farther screwing up his knee, you're out of playoff contention. He is your like stud running back of the future. Why are you risking it, to pick up a 4th or 5th win? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So it's very possible that this is going to be like a 50-50 split with these 2 rookie running backs for the rest of the season. Now let's talk about a couple of wide receivers here. Guys that kind of just dip below 40%, or one of them, I guess, is rising. One guy dipped below. We have Adam Thielen rostered in 38.7% of leagues. He's had back-to-back big games. Week 13, 8 for 99 and a touchdown. Week 14, 9 for 102. Also has 3 pretty decent matchups for the fantasy playoffs. So if he somehow wasn't picked up after week 13, definitely someone you could add and is like a flex-worthy play. And then Cedric Tillman, someone who I think is probably more likely to be out there just based on people dropping him because he's injured, is rostered in 36.1% of leagues. He has missed back-to-back games with a concussion, but in his 4 healthy games where Jameis Winston has played like a decent number of snaps, he has gone 8 for 81, 7 for 99 and 2 touchdowns, 6 for 75 and a touchdown, and then 3 for 47. So we've seen Jerry Jeudy like ball out as of late. He's having these big games. Cedric Tillman was like the Jerry Jeudy before Jerry Jeudy here in terms of producing with Jameis. And he's missed, like I said, 2 games with a concussion. But like when he comes back, he's likely going to be a startable option. And if someone cut him, because they're just sitting on their bench injured, like definitely someone who is worth a pickup here. And then the last 3 options, this is pretty much just like handcuff territory. Kimani Vidal could be more than that. He actually led the Chargers running backs in snaps and routes, had 9 opportunities to Gus Edwards' 10. I think the issue here with Vidal is, and for Gus Edwards, honestly, is this is just a gross backfield without J.K. Dobbins. Neither guy seems like they're going to be super productive. There's really no passing production going to these guys. So unless they're pulling away or you're getting the goal line work like Gus Edwards is, it's kind of tough to bank on either of them. But if Gus Edwards were to get hurt, Vidal could be stepping into a larger role. And then the next 2, these pretty much are handcuffs. Tyler Allgeier rostered in 37.8% of leagues. Actually had a nice week 14, 9 for 63 and a touchdown, but typically not someone you're going to want to rely on week to week. But obviously the Bijan Robinson handcuff. And then Blake Corum, who is rostered in 14.8% of leagues, the Kyron Williams handcuff, has gotten a little bit more run as of late, has looked solid, but he's still an injury away. But I do think I want to point out, like, we saw a guy like Zach Charbonnet come in, have a monster game. Isaac Guerendo come in, have a monster game. Now, I'm not saying you should have predicted the Guerendo thing with, Mason and CMC going down, but a guy like Charbonnet, he is someone that should have been rostered in 100% of normal-sized leagues. He's not going to be playable for you week to week, but he is a Kenneth Walker injury away from being like a running back 1, and that's exactly what we saw in week 14. So you want to have those guys before they're available to the public when everyone knows there's an injury. So also guys like Cam Akers, Trey Benson, Jerome Ford, Roshan Johnson, Kendre Miller, pretty much any handcuff out there. There are going to be more options, but you want those handcuffs to fill out your bench. At this point, 3 weeks left in the season, that wide receiver 6, 7 on your bench that's never going to crack your lineup. There's no reason to be holding on to that player over some of these handcuff running backs who could instantly turn into like top 15 options at the position. So that is going to wrap it up for my top targets. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Any questions, feel free to drop them down below. But thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one.